and that was my job and what they wanted me to do and what they pitched me on. And I was like, great, I get to build a team, I get to build new product, and we're going to change an industry. And that was really exciting. That sealed the deal for me, because you could go out and build something, but who wants to go build printer drivers and make sure people can print correctly? That's boring. And so I jumped on the opportunity. I met Josh at the family reunion in Vegas here. In Vegas, yes.
They're actually asking at the back to see if you could speak up a little bit, because they can't.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I met Josh at the family reunion here in Vegas a couple years back, 3 years back, and so that was my first introduction to agents en masse, and then the enthusiasm you guys had helped seal the deal also, why I wanted to come. So I just wanted to be a part of that. So that's how I got here. And so I've been working for the past couple of years, building up the teams, making sure we had a follow the sun capability in terms of our development capabilities. And what that means is we have people that are in south of the border in South America, in Peru, and Costa Rica, and Chile, opening up a new dev center in Monterrey, Mexico. That's called nearshoring. We also have people in Poland and the Ukraine. And some folks in Asia, in India. And so what follow the sun development means is you tell us, hey, something's wrong. I can have somebody somewhere in the world that's awake that can work on it. And so we're always working on stuff. And so when the folks that are sleeping on the U.S. side wake up, they get to look at what was done overnight by the folks on the other side of the world. And so that's just something that we work on, is velocity. And that's something we talk about a lot in the building, is velocity. How fast can we go? How fast can we go? And no matter how fast we go, Gary doesn't think it's fast enough. And I was talking to Jimmy about that earlier, and he asked me what were some of the challenges. And one of the challenges is Gary Keller is hugely demanding. It's not enough, and he feels an urgency that there is a battle afoot, there's a war afoot, and he feels an urgency that we have to. Oh, you need a.
Well, we're going to try it. We're not sure if it's going to work, but we'll try it.
If you know anybody in the printer driver space, could you have them really work on that stuff?
It still sucks, right?
It still sucks.
Yeah.
Especially HP.
Oh, yes, especially HP. I'm right there with you, yeah.
No, all right,
Okay.
carry on.
Sorry,
I'll
guys.
keep trying to talk and speak
But
louder.
obviously, it wasn't built by your team, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
Gary, so there's a war afoot, and there's a war between, and I love the way he characterized it. It's the tech-enabled agent versus the agent-enabled tech. And how many of you have heard those things? Okay, good, most of you. So I'll do it real fast. Agent-enabled tech is what you're seeing with platforms like Zillow, like Redfin, and any number of other platforms that are coming up that are trying to get in front of the consumer, get in between the agent and the consumer, and then out the back of that platform either completely eliminate the need for an agent or turn the agent into somebody that is almost like an Uber driver. Let me contract this person to go open a door. So imagine a world where in Zillow they say, well, we've got all the consumer eyeballs. They're going to come to us. We're going to help them narrow a search down to 5 homes. And out the back end, hey, Mr. Agent, register with us, and maybe we'll pay you to go open doors along that 5 tour list that they got for that consumer. That's the path that Gary sees happening. It's not there yet, but you can see the groundwork that Zillow's laying for that. You see them, they've got the search, they've added mortgage, they're adding other ancillary services, and out the back end, they have the Premier Agent thing where they're selling you the leads right now. But eventually, I think that's going to flip, where they ask you to register, and maybe they'll route something your way and pay you to go open a door. That's something that can largely happen. Redfin is almost that same model, only they have employee agents underneath. And then as they get there and deepen their platform and make it deeper and deeper, how long do you think before those agent salaries start going down, 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 down? And they're not, right now they tout, we have full-time agent salaries, but eventually they'll become independent contractors and shrink. It's inevitable for those types of models. And that's where, the agent-enabled tech is going. And the agent becomes diminished. Now, on the other side, what Gary's fighting for, what he wants us to build, what our mandate is, the tech-enabled agent. That is, how do you take an agent, wrap tech around them, and make them the best agent they can be, the best fiduciary they can be, and most importantly, create the most differentiated consumer experience so we can move those consumer eyeballs from the portals over to the agent and facilitate those interactions. That's what we're trying to do. Gary uses the analogy of we want to build the technologies to allow the agent to become the Netflix of real estate to their consumers. Now, if you think about it, that's a great analogy, because when you log into Netflix, every one of you that has a Netflix or a Hulu account, you get a different experience. You get your recommendations that are just for you. You get your history of what you've seen that's just yours. It's different for everybody that logs in. That's creating a differentiated consumer experience, as opposed to Blockbuster. Everybody had the same experience in Blockbuster. They even created a path in Blockbuster that they wanted you to walk through. You walked in, you went for the new releases, couldn't find what you're looking for there, then you went to horror, sci-fi, rom-com, and then snacks, and then out the door. That was what everybody did, right? That's why they died, and that's why Netflix works. It's absolutely completely different and customized and personalized to consumers. We want to take that model and even plus one that. And what we want to do there is imagine Netflix, but it had a person behind there. Right now, the way Netflix works is if I watch these things, they're going to find other folks that watch the same things that have overlap with me, look for what's different that I haven't seen yet, and make that my recommendation and add that into my recommended list, and vice versa over to the other folks. That's the way the recommendation list works. However, imagine if there was somebody sitting back at Netflix that knew what I'd seen, knew what I liked, and then knew my profile such that, hey, he likes sci-fi, but it's got to be PG-13 sci-fi in the evenings on the weekdays because his kids are running around. So no rated R sci-fi. Give me the PG-13 stuff I haven't seen. Line that up for Neil on the weekdays. On the weekends, when his wife is watching, we have a whole different genre of shows we want to see. So line those up and have that ready for me to watch. And by the way, these are my friends. Figure out what they're watching, what they've discovered that I might like, and put that in my friend queue. Wouldn't that be a better experience on Netflix? Well, that's what we want to do from a real estate perspective. That's what we're working on. And so when we talk about our consumer app strategy, it's really trying to materialize that vision of Netflix. Now, before we jump into that, let's go back in time a little bit and look at a few things. So there is a website called archive.com. Actually, that's wrong. It's archive.org. Excuse me. Archive.org. If you go there, what they do is they take a snapshot of the entire internet, all the websites, and say, okay, on this date, the internet looked like this, or this website looked like this. So I went to archive.org, looked at Trulia in 2006. This is what Trulia looked like. They had a space for a map.
Jeez.
So they put a map in here. They had a list of listings on that map, and they had a filter-based search at the top. That's what Trulia looked like in 2006 when they started. Let's fast forward to Trulia 2012. What do they have? They have a map, they have a list, and they have a filter-based search. Let's see what Zillow was doing in 2012. Looks like the same thing. A place for a map, a list, and a filter-based search. Okay? Now, no real change in that 6 years. Now, there's a new upstart realty agency that's come along that everybody thinks is leads the pack in marketing. That they're real innovative. They've outpaced everybody else. Let's check in on them. Compass.com. You heard of Compass, right? Mm-hmm. What do they have? They have a map, they have a list, and filter-based search. Now, the only innovation in 15 years they could come up with is bigger pictures. Okay? That's our competition. I think we can beat them. I think we can beat them hands down. So in software, if you're going to do a pitch to VCs or PEs to get money for your idea, part of your pitch always has to be, why are you going to win? I gave you the state of the market right now, and it hasn't changed in 15 years. So why are we going to win? You know, you saw the video that we kicked off with, but let's go more in depth. It starts with command. Okay, you guys have heard about command. We've been talking about command as a CRM. Get your contacts into command because it's a contact management system. It's a baseline CRM. But if you've heard Gary talk about it and the way we talk about it within corporate, command is not just a CRM. It's so much more. We call it an engagement hub because it's the center point of how you will engage with your customer across every touch point with your customer. You guys familiar with that term, touch point? Mm-hmm. Okay, so some of you shook your head, some of you nodded. So a touch point is, what is the way you're interacting with your client? Is that in person, on the phone, SMS? Is it via social media? Is it email? Any channel that you have of interaction, that's considered a touch point. And so what command allows us to do is manage all those touch points. So if we look at shorthand for what is the set of experiences that a consumer might have across buying a home. So it starts with consideration or voyeurism. I'm just curious about what's going on in my area, down to search, and then I need to have a consultative meeting with someone to help me narrow that search, and then move from there to hey, I want to make an offer. Then from there to line up all the other parts of the transaction all the way to close, and then I'm into my ownership journey. And the ownership journey could have any number of things. I think you've got some vendors in here. Are you guys contractors? What kind of vendors are you? Contractors. So how do I make a partnership with a contractor, get them into the app so that a homeowner now, because they bought and now they own, can you go to the same app and be able to find contractors that you've approved and you recommend for different activities? Rather than going out to a different app like an Angie's List or something like that, you can curate a set of contractors for different purposes, have them sitting in that app so that that consumer knows, hey, I can go to my trusted agent and they have vetted some contractors. They invite them to meetings, I'm sure they check out your work, and then they'll say, hey, if you need this done, these are the guys to do it. What's y'all's name? What's your company? Sorry?
My name is
The company name.
Oh, J.O.J. Border.
I'm sorry.
J.O.J. Border. No, we use the construction company.
J.O.J. Got it. So J.O.J. So you can have them show up in the app and recommend it for your clients. And then when they're ready to sell, start the sell journey. And so what are the experiences you want them to have for the sell side? And so you've got scripts for that already that you're trained on. Now, one of the big things that we're doing is we're rolling out a new consumer app. So we have asked, oh, actually, you know what? Sorry, I did this wrong. Let me back up a little bit. The first thing we asked you to do was get your contacts into command, right? Yeah. Within that, the very first piece of value you can get out of command is using your email channel. And so we've created within command an ability for you to get your contacts into the system and then use this email channel and send out emails to your contact list that are highly focused, highly specialized, and personalized to that consumer. Now, one of the quick things that we've done that's different than anybody else is we focused in on one-to-one value between the agent and the consumer. And the way we've done that is try to create a level of interest that those consumers might have. And that is different than a map, a list, and a filter-based search. Rather, we're focusing in on neighborhoods. So most everyone starts their search or is curious about when they own a home or they're selling their home around neighborhoods. They want to know, if I'm selling my home, what's going on in my neighborhood. When I'm buying a home, I'm looking for different neighborhoods I want to search in, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's the key differentiator that we're bringing to the table. So when we say bring your contacts into command, you can segment your contacts, and then if you can manually do this, you can add the neighborhoods of interest of where the folks live against every contact. And if you did that, you could create an email list and then send a specialized email to every one of your contacts that tells them, in this case, what's happening in Barrington Oaks, and a market snapshot associated with the email. The difference between your existing marketing automation systems and what we just did is those systems do a one-to-many snapshot. They are one email to many folks of the same email. What we're doing is, if you have, and when I say we, it's all of us, if you have 5,000 contacts and they're all interested in 5,000 different neighborhoods, you've just sent 5,000 unique emails with the touch of a button. All branded to you, all of interest to each one of those recipients. So that's touch point one. That's one channel you'll be able to take advantage of.
You need their address too.
Well, so yeah, that's a good point. So what we've discovered as people have been putting their contacts into command, a lot of the contacts don't have addresses. So start getting addresses or at least neighborhoods of interest against every contact. If you have an address, we have an AI system that will automatically go, and there is a landing page capability. And so what this is very similar to the email. For every contact that you have neighborhood information on, one or more neighborhoods, you can generate a landing page, a unique landing page between you and that contact. And that landing page will have all the information about that set of neighborhoods they're interested in. Plus, you guys remember when we asked you to create insights?
Yeah.
All those insights you've been downloading or uploading? All those insights will also carry along, branded to you, within that landing page. And so all of that's generated automatically, and you just send that link out. You could even send that link out as part of that email blast that you did. So now you can have 5,000, so in our example, 5,000 contacts, 5,000 unique neighborhoods. You can have 5,000 unique emails, one-to-one touch there, as well as 5,000 different landing pages, each for an individual client. Now, why wouldn't they go back to that same one all the time? They keep hitting the same URL, and they're going to get information about the neighborhoods they care about, the insights that you keep updating in that neighborhood. There's a reason why they keep going back to that same touch point, allowing you to have that same interaction. You're adding more and more value. And this is before we've even got to a new application. This is how we're different. We're not doing a map, a list, and a filter-based search. We're adding one-to-one value. We're carefully curating what we think our consumers are interested in. Sir?
Could you take just a moment to explain to the group here the value of the dynamic as opposed to static landing page that's being created?
Sure. So static versus dynamic. We could take a snapshot of today in this area. What neighborhood are we in?
This is the Southwest. So somebody want to name a neighborhood?
Give me a neighborhood.
Rhodes Ranch.
Rhodes Ranch.
Rhodes Ranch. All right. So we could take and do a market analysis of Rhodes Ranch today, and we'll have a number of actives, pendings, and days on market data today. We could generate a landing page and send that out, and people could, if it was static, if they looked at it today, it would be relevant. If they looked at it tomorrow, it would be a little less relevant. If they looked at it in a month, it's probably not as relevant at all, because it's a static page. Rather than doing that, what we're generating with these landing pages is a dynamic look at that neighborhood. Or so if it was Rhodes Ranch, if I looked at it today, we would gather all the information of total actives, pendings, days on market, all that information, and you would see it today with the latest information. If I clicked on it tomorrow, I would get tomorrow's information on there. If I clicked on it next month, I would get next month's information on there because it's dynamic. It's looking up all the data every time it needs to generate that page. That's why a consumer would keep coming back to that same link over and over again. And guess what? It's branded to the agent. That's why they're knowing it's coming from you. Just like that Netflix list that I care about, it's branded, or it's directed towards me. It's relevant to me, and every time I go in there, it's going to be updated. That same thing.
So Neil, So should we add ourselves to the neighborhoods that we farm, so we can get updates on that way too?
Add yourself to the neighborhoods you farm. In what? Oh no, what you need to do is inside a command, you set up the neighborhoods that are your patch, the things that you work, your farm. And as you do that, you can create custom templates of how you want to be branded in those neighborhoods. So if you're at a Rhodes Ranch football game, or whatever the school is in Rhodes Ranch, if you're at one of their football games, you take pictures of that, you could add that to your template.
Oh, wow.
Right? So now you're showing that, hey, I'm a local expert. Here are my insights. Here are my team's insights on Rhodes Ranch. Here's me in Rhodes Ranch. And here's all the data associated with Rhodes Ranch. Make sense?
Yeah, that's like,
Yep.
Zillow can't hang.
Zillow doesn't do anything like that. So-
Quick question.
Yes.
So we can upload photos, but are we able to upload videos at all?
Yes. You'll be able to upload videos too and add them into that same template so they can watch videos.
that's fantastic.
The other thing, as part of command and managing your touch points, sorry, I'm going way over time.
Oh, no, you're good. Just to preemptively ask, if we run over time, can I get a raise of hands of people that
Run over
object?
time, please.
Object to that, you see hands? So all in favor of just hanging over if we need to?
As much as he wants.
Fair enough, carry on.
So also within command, another touch point is social. So we have the ability to manage your social touches, whether that's on Facebook or it's Instagram or Twitter, and we keep adding more and more and more. Nextdoor.com, Zillow will be in there. We think of Zillow as more of a digital touch endpoint. So if you want to be able to manage throwing an ad out to Zillow, we'll be able to have that as well. But you have an ability now to touch socially as well as get feedback and stats on, okay, well, I put an ad out for a listing across multiple channels. Most effective was Facebook, or most effective was Instagram, and therefore, next time I'm going to do it, I'm going to double down on that channel. So we're trying to give you intelligence on the feedback of the number of impressions, number of click-throughs, so you know, and we can give you decision support on, hey, for this type of listing in the future, against this demographic, you should probably double down on Instagram and don't really spend any money on Twitter or Facebook. So those recommendations will be inside Lead Accelerators to manage your social channel of touch
Will
points.
you guys have some sort of estimate for like a generic value of their home?
We don't call it Zestimate, we call it an auto valuation model. Yes. And in fact, let me give you some language around that. The way Zestimate works, it doesn't have a complete picture, because all Zillow can look at is what information, in fact, you guys share with them via the MLS on what's been listed and what's been sold. So they use that information. They use the information they get from .loop of other brokerages. They can't use our data, but other brokerages on offers accepted, declined. They put that together. They use public record information. They add all that together, and that's how they come up with Zestimate. And it's typically plus or minus 15% of accuracy, and depends on the area. It could be 20% or more. When we roll out our AVM, what we're going to do is all of that, plus we have all of our data that Zillow doesn't have access to. We add that in there, and this is the thing that's different that no one else is going to have, and we're going to let the local agent in that area, if it's your farm, your patch, tune that AVM. So you'll be able to move some dials to say, okay, here's what matters in this particular area. I know what matters, and it's number of bathrooms, it could be that, or it could be distance from a highway. You figure out what matters, and you've tuned the AVM so that when we start throwing estimates up, or you throw estimates up, it's your AVM that you tuned based upon your knowledge. And we can even give you feedback as things get sold in that same patch. Hey, tune your AVM some more because you've been off by X amount. Cool. So it's a dynamic AVM at that point, and it's actually a dynamic agent AVM. The term we use is agent AVM. In fact, we have a patent process going on that term as well, and that methodology right now. And so that's how we're going to beat Zestimate. And there's no comparison between us and Zestimate because Zestimate doesn't have an individual tuning their the valuation modeler for each individual patch. And you could even have two different folks working the same patch with two different AVMs, and we can tell you which one is better. So that's a big differentiator for us. Sir?
With all of this technology, obviously Zillow has a big marketing push behind it. Is there gonna be anything like that from KW?
Well, there's a lot of discussion around should we do centralized marketing for KW, but at that point, it's KW's brand that gets out there, not your brand.
Understand.
And I think one of the strengths of KW is it's always been the secondary brand or even the tertiary brand. It's always been agent brand, team brand, and then KW. And so we don't know what the bang for the buck would be if we spent your money doing KW advertising versus empowering you to do your own advertising through systems like this and do your own marketing through systems like this. So, I don't think we'll ever be buying Super Bowl ads or anything like that. It wouldn't service you.
Yeah, and if you really wanted to explore that, the way to go would be through the ALC, who would bring it to the regional ALC and the international ALC to raise your expenses, because that has to be paid for some way.
Yeah, but in a rising tide, all ships rise.
You're right. And in fact, that's the exact process that we've been talking about, is if we wanted to do a national marketing campaign, we've got to take it to the ALC, and the ALC should say, yes
or no?
Everybody wants to throw in $10 a month and create a pool to hire an agency to create ads.
Mhm.
Absolutely, it's possible, and I know it's probably on an ALC agenda for this year.
Okay.
Not probably, it is on an ALC agenda this year because I know Gary has talked about wanting to do that.
Because then at that point, we'd be thrust in front of the public. Hey, your KW agent has this tool. Your KW agent, we can go years and years and miles talking about this, but
Right.
getting help from on high, letting
Yeah,
them know
I hear you.
what we have instead of us.
I think it comes
Spending our
both
own
ways.
money.
There's a possibility of doing top down and then bottom up. You already have
Grassroots.
spheres,
Yeah.
grassroots. You already have spheres, and if you get your contacts into command, if you can resolve how to get their addresses or at least their neighborhoods that they're interested in, then all of a sudden you've got all these touch points to start touching them with that gives them value right away, and that becomes viral by
Okay.
itself.
All right.
Sir?
Real quick, you had mentioned, when you go in front of, like, say, Shark Tank kind of thing, what proprietary technology do we have, and do we have any patents on any of this technology?
Well, the Agent AVM is one that we're working on right now. We're patenting that. What's unique to us and differentiated for us is having command, having all these touch points, and then having a singular place inside of command. So as your consumers across their buy journeys, their sell journeys, their ownership journeys start touching any of these touch points, you'll see that in the activity pipeline right here. So now you know when they're on a sell journey, what have they been doing? How can I service them better? What should I do next with them?
Offering their expertise for the neighborhoods, going to the kids' football games and taking pictures.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you can buy that tech, but you can't duplicate this.
We're hyper local, where Zillow is just lowest common denominator national. And so Command gives you a view into all those touch points across all of the buy journeys, the sell journeys, and home ownership journeys. You've got one place to go to have that engagement dashboard with your consumers. Now, I didn't even go into other touch points, like, I don't know if you guys have heard of Sign Snaps. Sign Snaps, it's not over here, but it will appear over here. You'll see that. And then when you do a Kelly share of a market snap, that also is very similar to a landing page, and that appears in this timeline as well. So there's actually additional touch points that I didn't even talk about yet. So let's get into the consumer app. And so this is the big one. And so all of that will appear in the timeline. And I'm going to go through just a couple of quick things that I think are completely differentiated so that we have that in the interest of time. So let me get onto my phone.
Are we getting a live demo?
Well, semi-live. It's of the prototype. We're building this right now. So when the app starts up, it's branded to you, okay? So one of the questions we get is people in my sphere that already have my KW app, will they have to download a new app?
Right.
It will automatically upgrade. So when we roll this out, everybody that has your existing app will automatically get the new app. They'll click on it one day, it's going to say, hey, you need to get an upgrade. They say, okay, and then it'll upgrade itself into this new app, and it will still be branded to you. Okay, so it'll become your app and your upgraded experience. And so this is, in this case, in this example, Paul is the real estate agent. So he has the branded experience, and there's multiple entry points. If you just send the app as a URL or somebody just downloads it, they can register on the app and then connect or attach to an agent, similar to kind of the system as it works right now. Now, where the differences start is within Command, Paul, the agent here, could have set up a number of different safe searches. And so as soon as that person logs in, they can look at, hey, I've got some information from Paul. He's communicated with me, and he's got a safe search that he wants me to look at. So already we're starting to create that personal touch, the concierge of the agent helping the consumer without being overbearing or anything like that. This is just a quick thing. The agent's done some research, created a safe search, and sent it over to the app, and the consumer can pick it up whenever they want. Now, we're changing the search experience. Remember, it hadn't changed in 15 years. We're testing different approaches. Our approach is based upon neighborhoods and being able to give folks the ability to find things based upon the way they actually look right now in neighborhoods. And so once I select a neighborhood, I can look in there and, oh, what? Paul's picked out some homes and listings that I should be looking at. So that is another way for the agent to get front and center and be there for the consumer to say, okay, unobtrusively, I think you should look at this guy right here. Or I think we should schedule a meeting around this guy right here. And so you got a new way of interacting with the map. And so I picked Paul's pick. And now let's go look at all the information associated with Paul's pick. And so now what we're seeing in here is, so you get your details and all that sort of stuff, but some of the cool stuff is you can have a conversation between agent and consumer, Paul and their consumer, right within the app. And it's asynchronous, meaning that they can type in a question, Paul will see it, and then he can answer. They don't have to pick up the phone and call, right? And so this is facilitating that one-to-one relationship and why they want to keep talking to Paul in this case. Now the other thing is you could actually pair. So for buying pairs, husband and wife, they both can have an app and you can connect them. So you can have three-way conversations as well. So that allows you to also be in the conversation with a buying pair.
Does that work with teams as well?
That was a great question that came up a lot at Family Reunion. It doesn't work with teams yet. We're working on that to where a team can facilitate the connection.
And then can the consumer themselves switch agents? Like, let's say if an agent was to not be in the business sector 3 years, if they're having the old app,
Yes.
upgrades,
The consumer
or they
could
just find
reattach.
another person. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, the consumer could reattach. And so now we're getting into some of the other differences that are happening. So now I'm inside to those locations. And then whenever they look at a new listing, we'll have these places already there, and so we'll calculate that for them. So now we're becoming more of an advisor without actually having to do the work.
We don't have to answer any questions. Tech-enabled advice.
Remember the insights?
Yeah.
Paul's insights are highlighted right here. His team's insights are still with proper attribution, but they're not highlighted, but they're still there. So now this is Paul, his pictures of what's going on and his insights, so that the consumer knows, hey, Paul knows this neighborhood. Paul is hyperlocal. Paul's a local expert, somebody I want to talk to.
And we'll be able to put video on there as well.
So let me get to that, and then I'll close, because I know I'm running way over time. Let's.
Talk as long as you like.
How much time are we talking about here? You got a flight or something? What?
But your time, I don't know what I'm messing up meaning wise. So, actually, we'll go through a couple of things that are really important. So, we have this concept of a feed. So right now, you send the emails, you send information out. You don't know whether they've actually seen it. When you have a conversation, it's usually over the phone or maybe text. We're coming up with an entirely new way to interact with agents that we call the feed. And the feed is, think of like a Facebook feed. Oops. Did I lose it?
That's not an Apple problem.
Yeah. No, it's a connectivity issue, sorry. As soon as it loads. What a feed is, think of a Facebook feed, but between you and all your consumers, and you can make posts to them, and every one of your consumers can see that post, whether you think it's a relevant article or a piece of information you want to give them. Or if they have a conversation, want to have a conversation around a listing, your feed will have, hey, this is Joe, and he has a question about this listing, or it's Joe and Mary, they have a question about this listing, have a conversation right there. So you have one place to go to see all your conversations, and your consumers have one place to go in the app around all of their conversations with you. And that's the concept of the feed, along with the articles and other pieces of information about real estate you want to give them. The object here is, let's make our consumer app, your face, a first screen app that stays there and doesn't drift towards the back because it becomes less relevant on the screens of your phone. Looks like I lost it. Let me bring it back up again.
And there's feeds for neighborhoods too, aren't there?
There's feeds for neighborhoods as well.
So
and then we'll have some AI in the background curating information and making suggestions for you to put in your feed to keep it relevant as well. Yeah.
Are the insights going to be shared with Google?
No.
Indexed by Google? No.
No, when you say shared with Google won't have them. They're our insights. You guys have been putting them in.
I mean, like this consumer types in like just neighborhood, not even doing real estate search, just typing neighborhood X.
Right.
Will that come up?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the ownership, right? If I'm owning a home and I just want to care about what's going on in other neighborhoods, I can go click on that neighborhood and see everything that's happening over there.
So Keller Williams will be front page on every Google.
The other key thing here, I'm sorry, you have a question?
Yeah, I guess to clarify, it's, so if I do an insight on my neighborhood, I do like hundreds of them, I use a hashtag and all that.
Right.
Will you be sharing it with Google so Google can index it? So someone types in Rancho Las Breas and all of a sudden I come up. In Google.
No, we're not sharing out to Google.
So it's only if we share it with the.
If you share it with Google, it'll happen.
What's the negative of sharing that video with Google?
You're sharing with Google. You're sharing with Google. Someone else can, another agent, another company could pick it up and then drop it into their system.
But the insights don't come up with me. I'm making a video of my neighborhood. Does that show me as a local expert on?
Yeah, put it on YouTube.
Exactly.
You know,
Don't we want KW to be that to go?
it all depends on how. Let's take that offline because it's a nuanced question. The other big thing that is a differentiator is the concept of the guide. This is, if you have a step-by-step methodology that you want your buyers or your sellers to walk through, watch this, then learn about this, then do this, then answer this checklist, then complete this form. What is your buying journey that you set up? You guys set up unique buying journeys, and you may even set up journeys that are unique to the type of buyer. First-time home buyer, this is the journey you need to be on. Investor buyer, this is the journey you need to be on. You have the ability to create those different journeys in command and then assign them to the different contacts, and whenever those contacts hit the app, that's the guide they'll get. And what a guide looks like is, it starts off with, hey, if the first thing you want to do is introduce yourself, this is Paul. He's got a video that he wants everyone to see first in his guide. So he'll do that video first. And then he's created a list of things that he wants people to go through. What can I afford? Let's browse some homes. Let's pre-approve. Let's set up a tour to visit. That's the list of things that he wants people to do in his buying guide. Similar thing to a selling guide. And these can be checklists. These can be videos. It can be information. You make it yours, and that becomes your unique value to consumers. And you could set up as many of these guides as you want, and then as you tag a contact, that tag that's associated with a guide automatically changes the app to be able to have that specific guide. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So this is now how you are plus 10ing the current state of the art. There's no more map, list, filter-based search. You're creating a guided experience that's unique to that consumer, right?
The on-demand agent.
And then the last piece is, after you sell them, so we're working on getting some stuff done. After you sell a home, that home becomes theirs. This is where the home ownership journey comes into play. They can claim their home, and we're trying to provide value to them just in home ownership. What's happened to your home right now? Has it gone up in value? Has it gone down in value? And our estimate, our agent AVM is going to provide a better estimate of whether my home was more valuable today or less than a Zestimate would. And so we've got the home valuation. We've got we talked about the contractor piece, so someone can come here and find a contractor. They can also find out about what's going on in the neighborhood as well, because we'll know, if they ever want to come through here and say, hey, I'd like to get an offer on my home, they can turn that switch on, and now it's like a pocket listing. And you guys on your team will know, hey, this is an off-market home, but it's available to us to be able to make offers into it, because the owner just opt into that.
That's cool.
Okay, all right, got you. Nice.
And they want to know what their home is worth in the ownership journey. They can click the button to say, I want a CMA, and that'll trigger Paul to, hey, send out a CMA, which they'll receive back in the app, and then they click the sell my home, and all of a sudden you got a conversation going. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys see how this is different?
Yes.
All right, so this happens over the course of the rest of this year and into next year. You're going to see more and more activity because, like I said, we follow the sun in terms of development. We're trying to add features every week, build up command, build up this app, and all the other pieces around this. We just keep adding layers of features and features and features, and that's why we win. Can you see the win? Yeah. All right. I appreciate your time. I'm sorry I ran over.
We're so thankful. We're so grateful. This is a home run for our agents. I know. I believe we have 1 or 2 questions. Arne?
Just because we've been using Zillow as the example, does Zillow have any idea what we're about to do to them?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They made an offer for the company. I mean, I'm just half joking, half whatever. But yeah, they're freaking out. Yeah.
They do know. I mean, that video that we started with is public for everyone to see, and we do have conversations with Zillow. I keep in touch as to what they're doing. They keep in touch with what we're doing.
Are you patented it? Are they going to copy this?
How could they? They don't have agents. Right? There's the difference.
So I watched you live when you were out there. Great job. You said that this is actually going to come out in Q2. So can we start uploading now, or do we have to wait until then?
Uploading.
The images and everything that you're saying that we can
You
do.
could start building your templates and command and your insights. All that can happen right now. Now the question is, should I ask my consumers or new consumers to download the existing KW app? And I would say, because that app happened, but it wasn't on my watch. And I'm not a big fan of that app. However, I would say that, yes, I would get people to download that app, because if they download the app and they attach to you, it'll auto-upgrade with your attachment versus letting somebody else get in there and have them attach to an app before you have a chance.
And keep in mind that command is functional now, right? So a lot of the stuff on there that will be more functional later. That was the thing when they announced that it's live now. To start using that so that you're integrated in that for when these guys release the full versions of it.
Right. And so command, like I say, it's coming out in pieces, layers of features. And the challenge is we've got to create training, train everybody on how to use it. We couldn't just big bang everything I talked about and just drop it on everybody because folks wouldn't even know where to start. So we're trying to roll out features as fast as possible in a progression. So last year we rolled out Kelly to get you introduced into market snapshots and the ability to share those snapshots. Well, that was actually a first piece of the consumer strategy because you're sharing a customized branded landing page in your neighborhood with a specific individual. So that was getting you used to doing that and giving you creativity around how to do that. A lot of people then posted those Snapshare links onto social media and started demonstrating how they could be an expert in a zip code or a neighborhood. And that was something that happened. Now with Command, the most mature piece we have on there is contacts. Get your contacts in, and then you can do that one-to-one email capability. You can do that right now. That's something we've added. And so that's an easy 10 minutes to value of get your contacts in, and any contact that has a neighborhood attached with it or that you assign to it, you can do the one-to-one blast. Now the hard part is it looks like all of our contacts collectively are fairly messy in that we don't have addresses. And therefore either you or we can't automatically add the addresses in. So from now on, at the very least, when you add a new contact to your sphere, you get a new Met. If you feel uncomfortable getting their address, get the neighborhoods they're interested in. They should be able to give that up pretty easy. Just, what was it, Ranch Roads or?
Roads Ranch.
Roads Ranch, yeah. They can say that easy, right? And you can remember that and drop it in.
Can I just ask about, is there going to be external links that can be pointed to the app? So my idea
Deep
of
links,
doing
yes.
doing an EMD, doing an appraisal, so when the client, they're 15 days into the contract, they go, what's the appraisal again? I don't understand that. So instead of going, go see my app, I can just send them a link that goes into the app to that specific video.
Yeah. And so what I would say, yes, to answer your question, what I would do is in my guide, I would have an appraisal section in there, and that's what I would deep link right into, so they know where it fits in the overall journey of experience. But yes, exactly.
Yeah, I just don't want to be like, go see my app all the time.
Yeah. No, yeah, you'd be able to do deep links. So.
One thing that I know is a pain in the butt, when you send your app to somebody, they don't have to register it in order to open it up and do searches and so on and so forth. So with the new version, will it force them to put information so then you have their information? Because I can text it and email it to everybody else. They go down and it'll register it at the bottom. Which most of them don't. You can't capture their information.
So we have different options to basically create a squeeze page out of that in order for you to get that information. I showed one screen where we asked them to log in via Facebook or Google. As soon as they do that, we can capture some information that way as well. Sure.
Could you give us just since you're the guy, can you give us a sense or give the group a sense of, I know we've been working on this for 2 years, we've got about 300 technicians working on it, run by you. Could you give the group a sense of if another real estate company, not that there's one our size, but if another real estate company decided today that they wanted to go build their own, how long would it take them to catch up, and could they?
Well, so if we just go by another real estate company that yours wanted to do this, they would have to start with where we started, hire out a few hundred people and then work 3 years to catch up with us. We have a 3-year head start on just technology stack. Now, where we win from that a technology race perspective is the other thing that we're doing, and I didn't talk a whole lot about, is the more you use these systems, the more data that goes into the system. The more data that goes into the system, plus our historical data, plus all the data that we're also buying, feeds our AI systems, makes our AI smarter, and so all the little things I mentioned about decision support, adding more articles to the feed, helping you when you write an offer, let you know that, hey, if you write an offer as written in this market for this type of listing, it's got a 30% chance of being accepted, versus if you move this parameter by so much, you can get it to 80% chance of being accepted. Therefore, you have a more meaningful conversation with your buyer. Those types of things, no one else will be able to do. Because we're bigger, we'll have more data than anybody else. That becomes our data moat, our data differentiator, because we can build better AI than anybody else. So even if they catch up stack-wise, and don't take 3 years, they do it in a year, they're not as big as we are, they don't have as much data as we have, we'll always be ahead. That's why Google always wins right now. They have so many people using their search engine that feeds their AI to make better searches, that even if there was a new search engine that had better technology, not enough people use it for it to ever get as good as Google. That's what we're gonna do. We're running that play.
I get a lot of SEO leads. Are we going to parse that out where we can get the email to come in to Command directly, or are we pi syncing with WolfNet?
So for your lead gen, how are we getting leads into?
Yeah, automatically, because I'm getting them registered on our website now.
Yeah. PySync is how you do it. You can integrate with your system, and we can PySync straight over. We also have, we're working on, and we'll release an API for other systems outside of PySync. If you just want to, you got a custom system, or you have a custom developer, and you just want to drop leads straight into Command, we have that gateway coming very soon.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll be able to do it automatically.
As far as
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm good.
You can also use Zapier too, if you want to use Zapier.
Yeah.
As far as AI goes, I had heard that when your consumers are looking, they can filter out like cosmetics, like white kitchens, that type of deal. Is that going to be coming out in the first quarter?
Second
or is
quarter.
that kind of later on?
Well, you'll start seeing it show up in second quarter. So the question was, our AI doing image recognition inside a home around what are the attributes of the home, wood floors, floor to certain ceiling curtains, 14-foot ceilings, all the attributes that might matter. We can automatically detect those things, and then we create little tags that consumers can look at when they're looking at listings, because we have image recognition. Whenever they click, "Ooh, I like that," that modifies their DNA profile, what we call the home DNA profile of what they care about. So if they care about wood floors, they care about stainless steel appliances, we know that. And then we use that in their searches to help them prioritize their searches, because we know more likely they're going to like a home with a wood floor because they've liked other homes with wood floors, or they like a home with stainless steel because they've liked other homes with stainless steel. And that becomes a deep match, and we're doing that as well.
And then I heard along with that, for example, if there was somebody out of state, maybe I put in a listing, and I put it in, and if they're searching in Las Vegas and they tended to like more like the homes, the floor plan that I'm putting in or something, there's something more, then the agent would contact me and say, hey, I have a buyer for your listing before even they come out. Is that?
We're working on that buyer-seller match. That's exactly right. So homes, attributes of homes, buyers that we have and what their care-abouts are, because we have their DNA, and we can do a match and then alert the agents involved. And so if you start putting your listings into Command first before the MLS, basically the pocket listing, there'll be a button there eventually that is the buyer-seller match that you'll be able to leverage.
And that'll come out in the first phase?
It's coming. You'll see all of this in the coming months. They're all going to start popping up. And the last thing I'll talk about is home DNA. I mentioned that.
I love it.
How many of you are Spotify or Apple Music users? Do you remember your first run experience when you first downloaded the app and it asked you the type of music, type of artist, and all that sort of stuff, and you walked through the little bubbles and you pushed all that?
Yeah.
That's also part of that consumer app. I skipped it, but that's part of the consumer app in terms of homes. And so what we ask consumers to do is basically, hey, what type of front exterior do you want? Or do you like French country or modern or contemporary? We do that. Then we go into the kitchens, we go into all the rooms, and the more information they click on that says, oh, I like this type, this type, this type, this type, it creates a profile, their DNA of a home that they care about. And as they go down the buy journey, we continually add onto that DNA, and we use that to do a deep match on the search. And that's also how we get away from a map, list, and filter. We're doing a deep, almost like a dating match between a buyer and a given home. And so that's another differentiator that we have.
From the listing side, sorry to barge in, will they actually ask the listing agent deep questions more so than just what the wood is on the floor, like to better match on the buy side?
So as a listing agent, would you want to, for every listing, put all that information in? I'm asking from a lab perspective, because right now what we're developing is AI to look at all the pictures and be able to pull out that information. And we're also looking at, if you're a listing agent, this is what we want. You heard we won a hackathon with NAR earlier in the year. We created a system where you could take a video, turn on Kelly, turn on a setting in there, and as you walk through the home, everything you say about the home, like this is a stone-walled kitchen, this is a great resort-style backyard, we are doing live image recognition and voice note recording. We compile all that and then give you a report that says, hey, here are all the tags that we saw. Do you want to add any or correct any? That teaches the intelligence to do it better next time. Here are your notes. You want to modify them. Click here and you've got a landing page that's fully detailed about the home. And then we use that information for the deep match searching as well. So that's, we pull all that together. I'll leave you a video so you can show that next time.
Oh, wow.
How that would work. But what you'll see there is we're a data scientist walking through a home. We're taking all the attributes of the home, just like you're talking about, taking voice notes, and then we're allowing the agent to check all that, then generating a landing page. And then we're using that same capability in the consumer app for homes that you didn't even walk through, because we trained Kelly to see what's in a home. When Kelly sees a listing picture, it could be one of your listings, and sees those listing pictures, we know what's in there, and we use that against the home DNA of a buyer to do that match. So it's linked that way rather than having the agent manually enter stuff from scratch.
That's pretty amazing.